Hi, my name's Kelly. I'm with Ryan's RV in Everett, Washington. Today I'm going to give you a video walkthrough on our 2019 Four Winds 31Y. This is primarily for our rental customers, but some of our sales customers use it as well. This is going to be just a general instructional video about most of the things you need to know to take this wonderful motorhome camping. This thing's beautiful. It's brand new, never been out anywhere. A few things that I'm going to talk about before I get into the actual operations of the motorhome. First off is driving. This unit is fairly long. You can see behind me it's a 31-foot motorhome, and you're going to know it's 31 feet long if you don't have experience driving big things. You really need to be aware of your tail swing. What that means is if I pull in on the other side to get gas, if I turn the wheels hard left to pull away, the back end of that motorhome would hit me. Okay? So if I turn the wheels hard left right now on the motorhome and pull out, that back corner is going to come over and hit me right alongside, and knock me sideways. So obviously if that was a pole, a gas pump, a tree, anything like that, you've just done some damage to the motorhome plus whatever you hit. Always go really slow in tight quarters. Use both mirrors. Do not turn the wheel sharply until either you're certain that it's behind you or it appears in the backup camera. And we'll talk about that again on walkthrough. If you need some further instruction, please ask. We'll be happy to spend the time to make you comfortable driving our unit. We really don't want it coming back damaged. Okay? So you'll notice a few things on the outside here. We supply our units with stainless steel wheel liners. It's got a molded front cap like a higher end motorhome would. We've got an electric awning. It's got LED lights. There's no outside step that we have to worry about on this one, so you can't forget to put your step back in. There isn't one. You don't need one. They've built the coach down to the ground for you. We've got a long, skinny storage compartment up front, a couple utility hatches, and a monster storage in the back. We'll show you here in a little bit. The nicest thing about renting from us is you'll notice there's nothing down the side that says, "Rent me," right? This is going to look like it's your motorhome. It's going to look like you went out and spent $100,000 really well to be able to enjoy your trip. There's nothing that we're going to do to take away from that. We'll have our web address on the bumper, but so does everything else that we sell for retail. It'll have a little number in the window. A lot of RVs do. Don't worry about it. So it's going to look like a classy motorhome that you own. Okay? Height is 12 feet. If you go into Canada, it's the same as 4 meters. You do not go underneath any overpass, bridge, sign, anything that looks like it may be low if it doesn't have a sign on it that says it's taller than that. General highway clearance minimum is 13.6. You're well below that, okay? But it needs to say 12 feet or higher for you to go under it without damage. Width, you're quite a bit wider than a pickup truck here. I came through a 10-foot gate on my way here to come in. I had to tuck one of my mirrors in. So your clearance from side to side is about 10'6". Just be aware of that. If you go into a construction zone, stay in the right lane of the construction zone. It's generally wider for trucks. The next lane over is going to be more narrow. Don't assume everybody driving something big knows that. Don't be alongside another RV, a bus, a truck, anything like that that's going to take up more than its lane, because there's not going to be room for both of you. So just stay behind them if there's something else big going into there, and you'll be fine. The right lane is almost always a minimum of 10'6" wide. In construction zones, they can make that next lane over as narrow as 7.5 feet. So just keep that in mind as you're going down the road. Ground clearance in the bigger motorhomes, especially this particular model, because we've outfitted this particular model with hydraulic leveling jacks. It's about a $5,000 option if you go to order one. It's about $6,000 to have us put them on after the fact. And what those will do for you is they will allow you on a site that is reasonably level, not something extreme, will allow you to level the coach with the push of a button. It'll actually auto-level with the push of a button, and we'll show you that controller later. And we'll go over that again on these in person, because there's some things that you want to know that it's not that big of a deal, but we have to cover in person. But back to ground clearance. What I mean by ground clearance is if you've got a ramp you're going up on a driveway, like actually the front driveway of our dealership is very steep. For our bigger fifth wheels and motorhomes, we ask everybody to use the rear gate. With this model, we're going to ask you to use the rear gate when exiting. When coming in, you can use the front gate. When exiting, you're going to use the back gate onto Gibson Road, because we've got a steep driveway that goes up like this and levels out. The hydraulic jacks lower the ground clearance. These long motorhomes don't have great ground clearance anyway. That's a problem. Okay, so if you try to go out the front loaded, you're going to get stuck, basically, and any damage you do because of that is going to be on you. We have told you that you have to allow for low ground clearance. Many of our bigger motorhomes and fifth wheels, it's the same issue. They can't go out the front gate. Okay, we're at the back end of the 31Y motorhome. This is our big motorhome that is the same floor plan roughly as a 31K Winnebago, one of our most popular rentals in years past. And this is the 2019 version that we're using. So I'm going to take you through a few things for hookups when you get to your site. The first thing you're going to do when you get to your site is to get the coach level. And again, we'll show you the jack panel after a bit. Once the jacks are down, you're going to want to hook up your utilities. It's much easier to hook up your utilities before you put the big slide rim out. So we're going to take and either bring power into this compartment where we have our 30 amp RV cord, okay? Or we're going to take the 30 amp RV cord out, it's 25 feet long, and plug it into the 30 amp hookup in the RV site. 95% of all RV sites you go to with power are going to have a 30 amp outlet. If it's a 50 amp site, they will typically have a 50 amp and a 30 amp outlet. In the event you've got one that says 50 amp only, you will need to ask us for a power adapter. When you make the reservation, they should tell you. If you ask us for the power adapter, we will check you one out for free. We don't charge for it, but very few of our customers find that they need one. So in this case, I'm parked at a residence. I've taken an extension cord. There's an adapter to take it from 30 amp to 15 amp, like a normal extension cord is. I put that adapter on the cord, plugged in the extension cord, and I have power inside the RV. I can run everything in the motorhome now except my air conditioner. The air conditioner requires that 30 amp outlet. So if I'm someplace that doesn't have 30 amp power hookup, I'm going to run my generator. After unplugging the coach, I'll run my generator, and then I will have 30 amp power to run the air conditioner. Okay? And we'll show you how to do the generator in a little bit. So my power is hooked up. The next thing we want to talk about is water. And water is real simple. In one of the compartments during our checkout with you, we will show you a freshwater hose. The hose we supply you is 25 feet long. That's enough water hose in just about any site you're going to go to. From here to the back of the coach is only about 12 feet. You should be within another 12 feet of wherever you're getting water from. This is the city water connection. When the hose is hooked into the city water connection, you are using the pressure and the water directly from the hose, and it does not require you turn the water pump on in the motorhome. Okay? There's a water pump switch in the motorhome on the control panel. We will show you that shortly. That is if you're going to use water that's not from the hose hookup. It's from the tank that's inside the RV that you take with you while you're going down the road. This tank's about 45 gallons. And you fill that tank just by putting the end of the hose in here and letting it fill. If you ask us to, during walkthrough, we will fill your tank. Most customers don't need that much water if they're going someplace that's got hookups and you don't need to carry the extra weight. Whatever you want to have for fresh water, we'll be happy to accommodate you. The only thing we would ask with the fresh water hose we supply, we also give you a brass adapter. The only thing we're going to ask with the water hose is you leave this brass adapter attached to the hose and you return it. If you come back without it, I've got to charge you. These guys are about $15, and their job simply is to regulate the pressure of water that goes into the motorhome. So we don't want to stuff a high pressure hose in here. That'll cause a problem. We certainly don't want to hook a high pressure hose up to the city water inlet. That will cause a bigger problem. This keeps you from overpressurizing the motorhome. These RVs are designed to run at 45 psi. The outlet that I have right here to plug into is over 100, which is a little unusual, but I promise you it'll blow up a whole lot of plumbing inside the RV. We don't want that to happen, so we always use one of these adapters. Okay? And this is typically stored inside one of the cubbies. Again, we'll show you that when we get to that part. Okay, so on the 31Y, this is our sewer dump station compartment. And inside you'll have a sewer hose. I'm just going to work this back out of the hole here. So I've got it free. You'll notice this end is a twist lock end. So I'm going to flip this up, reach under here, and get that locked on. Okay. Once that guy is locked on, I'm going to take this business end. The hose will stretch out to 15 feet. I'm going to put that in the dump station hole. We'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, now I'm going to show you just a couple of things. If you hook up in an RV park, chances are very good they're going to have a threaded connector. We supply you with the threaded connector. It's a universal threaded connector that will drop in. You just thread that in there a little ways and thread into the hole that'll meet their specifications. Once you've done that, you take the other end of the hose that's not hooked to the RV, and it twist locks on the same way you twist locked it on the RV. Just get it on there good and solid. Now if I'm in a park, this is what it's going to look like when I dump my tank. And I can actually see when the tank's done just by looking in the clear plastic. Okay? Now if you're in a place that doesn't have the threaded connector, you can just drop that same elbow in the hole. Make sure it's secure. So if you're at a rest area, usually there's a metal lid. If not, there's a rock, a block of wood. If there's nothing there, you may want to have somebody hold that in place with their foot. You don't want that walking out of the hole while you're dumping, okay? But that's really all there is to it. Okay? And then I'm going to come in here to my valves. Now in my valves here, I've got two valves. I've got a black valve and a gray valve. One is the black tank or the sewer. That's the waste from the toilet. The other is the gray tank. That's from the sink and the showers. Okay? If I'm dumping at a rest area on my way home, or I'm dumping to get my tanks empty, I'm going to pull the black valve first. Let the toilet tank drain. That's going to take 30 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on how much is in there. The hose is going to be moving, and I can actually see it through the clear threaded end that drops into the ground. Once that's done, I'm going to close my black valve, and to open it is simply and then closed. Okay? Once it's closed, I'm going to pull my gray tank, just like that. Once it's open, same thing, it's going to drain 15 seconds to a couple minutes. Once it's done, I close it. I disconnect the hose, shake out anything that's still in it, and put the hose back in the compartment. Okay? If the hose is messy because I didn't have a water in my gray tank to rinse it out, there'll be a hose right by the dump station I'm going to rinse my hose out with. Please do not use your fresh water hose to do that. In a pinch, if you need to, you can use the outside shower. It's right here, which is very convenient. It's hot and cold running water. You can use that for all kinds of things. It's good for hosing off sandy kids. It's good for doing dishes if you want to do your dishes outside to keep it from getting messy inside. Whatever you want to use that for is fine. Right? Pretty easy. And if you're going to use the outside shower, that'll sit there just like that. Great for rinsing off stuff that's messy. Okay? So if I'm in a park, I leave this end hooked up. I've got the business end in the hole. I leave the gray valve open. I leave the black tank or the sewer tank closed. The reason for that simply is the tank is very flat. We need a lot of liquid in the tank to help push the solids and the paper out the hole when we go to dump. If you leave it open, the liquids run off, the solids don't, we end up with a problem. Okay? So we don't want to leave the black tank open if we're hooked up in a park. You're going to open that right before you leave. And if you thought about it a little bit, maybe you close the black valve or the gray valve the night before you left, so you've got a couple of showers in there. Okay? Everything's said and done. When we're done, you can put the hose away. I didn't get it fully hooked up, so we're just going to leave it there for now. Wind this guy back up. It fits in there pretty easy. This is the only key that's different on the motorhome. It's a 751 key. So if you're trying your normal gray compartment keys and getting frustrated, that's not it. It's a little brass key you'll have on your key ring. Okay? Again, this is to fill the fresh water tank. And city water hookup is up top to use pressure from the hose. So last couple of things on this side I want to talk about. This little guy right here, that is a cable hookup. If you are planning or you have time booked in a park that advertises they have cable, not Wi-Fi. Most everybody now is going to Wi-Fi, and you can stream it on your iPad and then hook that up to your TV or whatever you want to do. But actual cable. This is a cable inlet to the motorhome. You will need a patch cord that goes from here to the exterior cable. No state parks have it. Very few campgrounds have it. The Gorge doesn't have it. It would have to be a private campground that has that in their ad. If you plan on doing those, let us know, and for no charge, we will give you a patch cable that goes from here to the park's cable outlet. Again, very few of our customers need those. We don't supply them. It's kind of like the 50 amp adapter. 1 in 30 customers will use it. Okay? If you need it, ask. If you forget, you can buy one anywhere. They're cheap. All right? Okay, this door right here is the hot water heater. Please leave that closed. There's no reason to open it. This is the furnace. Same thing. Don't get in there. There's nothing you can do. This is the refrigerator panel. All 3 of these are for service technicians only. There's nothing you can do to any one of those. Even if you think they're not working, there's no reason for you to get in there. There's nothing you can fix, reset. There's no fuse. There's no anything you can do. Leave them closed, please. We're concerned with your coming back without the door, with the door damaged. They're expensive to get striped to match, as you can imagine. We don't want to have to do that. These all get hot, or these 2 get very hot. It's a fire hazard. You can't park within a couple of feet of anything after your slide room is out. So this distance here is about minimum, because this slide's going to come out to about here in a little bit, right? And they are open flame. You need to have them shut off when you're in a fuel station. If you got questions about how to do that, please ask us. We'll show you. When in doubt, turn the engine off, turn the battery disconnect off. That'll shut everything down. Gas on this one is on the other side. Please do not put diesel in this motorhome, even though it's 30 feet long and probably 11,000 pounds. It takes gasoline, and it does not use 85 octane. You have to put 87 octane or better. They really run much better with 89 octane in them, especially if you're doing mountain passes. The fuel mileage should actually more than make up for the extra 10 cents a gallon. So we really recommend 89 octane in these guys. If you have any questions or think you may have put in the wrong fuel, please call us before you start the motorhome. Okay, you'll see a little pepcock right here. This is the drain for the fresh water tank. If you filled up your fresh water, you're on the way home and you don't want to carry that extra weight over the mountain passes, you can open that drain and drain it right out on the ground, and your fresh water tank will be empty. Okay? Most people like to leave at least enough in there to flush the toilet and wash their hands a couple of times. All the way up here is the generator compartment, and we're going to come up here and I'm going to show you a quick trick with the generator, and then we can put the slide up. Alright, so we're going to open the compartment up, and it can't latch because this is the slide room and it's out frequently. And this is an Awning 4,000 watt generator. Now what I'm going to show you here is 2 things, actually 3 things. First, I'm going to show you how to take off the door. There's a latch here and a latch here. Pull that out, lift up, and the door will come away. Okay? If you are a customer that's going to be using the generator a lot, we ask that you check the generator oil a minimum of every 20 hours of use. You have an hour meter inside by the start switch. It's pretty easy to keep track of. If you're just going for a weekend or something, you won't have to worry about it. But if you're going to be gone for a while or using the generator a lot, we need you to check the generator oil. It's just like checking the generator in a lawnmower small engine. If you've ever done that before, simply just turn this yellow cap right here without the generator running. Now the generator has to be off, right? Otherwise you'll get a face full of hot oil. Bring that up. As long as it's on the stick, you're good to go. If it's not, you're going to add some generator oil, which we've supplied and we will show you on the walkthrough. It's typically in the driver's door pocket. And we've given you paper funnels with it and rubber gloves for doing this, as well as dumping your tanks. And you're going to add about 4 tablespoons of oil is all that it takes to put to make everything right again. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing I want to show you is what happens when you overload the generator circuit. Okay? Now the generator is here primarily to run the roof air conditioner. That's its job. The air conditioner takes about 80% of everything this generator can put out. So if while the air conditioner is on and you're running on generator power, somebody turns on the microwave, uses a hairdryer, a curling iron, or coffee pot, something else designed to create heat, it's going to pop the circuit on the generator. The generator will stay running. All of your lights inside will stay on because they're 12 volt. But your microwave lights will go off, your air conditioner will go off, and you won't have power at any of your outlets. If that happens, the reset breaker is right here at the end of my finger, kind of alongside between this yellow cap and the start button, and you want it to be pulled forward. Okay? Pull that forward, everything will have power again. Turn off the air conditioner, finish what you're doing with the microwave or convection oven, whatever you're doing, then you can turn the air conditioner back on. Okay? Finally, when you go to put the door back on, I'm going to grab it up here by the grill. I lift it up, get it to sit on that lip to where they're firm, close it, and hit both latches. Now the door will stay closed. Okay? That's all there is to that. So I'm going to show you this amazing storage compartment they have. Wow, I don't know how many square feet that is, but that's more stuff than you should need to take with you. So inside here we've got, this is a plastic folding table you can come out and put alongside if you don't have a picnic table. I will frequently use that plastic table on the other side by the outside shower so I can do my dishes outside of the motorhome and not have that mess inside. Another big storage cubby over there, and lots of storage here, so storage really shouldn't be an issue. However, we do ask that you limit the weight in this compartment to no more than 300 pounds. Okay? If you put more than 300 pounds back here, that could affect the steering of the motorhome. All right? This hatch here you can leave closed. That hatch is for its eventual owner if they have some outside accessories that require a propane quick disconnect fitting. We've got one here. We don't supply barbecues, and chance of you having the right fitting is slim, so you can leave that one closed. Unleaded fuel only, and again, 85 octane does not work. It will cause engine damage. You will be liable for that. Really, 89 is recommended, but 87 is minimum. We have two outside speakers that are run from a stereo inside in the bedroom. We'll show you that in a little bit. Another storage cubby there, good for tools and heavier stuff because it's closer to the axle. This guy here is your propane fill. And again, with propane, your appliances, your hot water heater, your furnace, and your refrigerator all need to be turned off while you're filling propane. It is on the other side, so chance of fire explosion is less likely, but we still have to recommend that. And if you're going on the ferry system, either Washington ferries, BC ferries, wherever, they will require you turn your propane off, which you do just by turning this valve closed like you would a faucet. Okay? I don't think this tank's ever had any in it anyway. Yet, will have though. Propane on your return can be empty. We do not require that you fill the propane. If you do, hey, God bless you. But if you don't, not a big deal. We're not going to charge you for it. Okay? We do require that you fill up the fuel tank and that you dump your gray and black tank. There's charges for both of those if you bring it back, unlike how you found it. Big storage compartment there, great for lawn chairs, that kind of, long, skinny, flat stuff. Tools, that sort of thing. Extra bedding, maybe. You've got two different door keys, one for the bottom and one for the top. The top is the more square key of the two. The bottom is the round key with the black head. Normally you're just going to do that as you come and go to lock and unlock it. Okay? To open the door only opens to 90 degrees, so it doesn't interfere with the awning arm when the awning arm comes out. And let's go ahead and run that awning out so you can see what it looks like. So I have to press and hold the button. I can stop it partway out if I want. Typically, I'm going to run it all the way out. It works great for a sunshade in the summer. Also, will help keep the motorhome cooler on a hot day if the awning's out. Obviously, it's really good at keeping moisture off, especially where we're from here in Washington. If you park close enough to your picnic table, you can actually cover your picnic table with it, or you can park and then move your picnic table under the awning at most places, if it's not attached to the ground with concrete or something. The important thing about the awning, and I can't stress how important this is, the reason most rental companies remove their awnings is to mitigate the chance of damage. And the reason for that is this is a big awning. You could also say it's a large sail, okay? You never want to leave your motorhome, even if you think you're only going to be gone for an hour, and leave the awning out. Because if we get weather that moves in, especially here in eastern Washington, and we get beautiful days with everything's great, and 20 minutes later, there's a 50-mile-an-hour gust of wind. If it starts getting windy and you're getting gusts of over 15 miles an hour, you have to put that awning away. We will show you that it works when you leave and that nothing's bent or damaged. If for any reason, when you bring it back, something's bent or damaged, it's going to come off your damage deposit. Insurance will not pay for awning damage. It can easily be over a couple of $1,000s worth of damage if it gets torn off. The worst part about it is if you call me from your RV park and say, hey, I'm trying to come home, I have to be at work tomorrow, but I left my awning out, it got windy, the arms are bent, and it won't retract. There's no way for me to fix that over the phone. You're going to have to get somebody out there for mobile service to take the awning off. In some cases, there's no way to bring it home. If it's damaged, they're likely going to throw it away. We're going to have to charge you for a whole nother awning, and we don't want to have to do that. So please, put the awning away when you're not with the coach. Put the awning away overnight before you go to bed. Okay? I won't beat that horse to death, but I really hate it when customers come back with awning damage because I have to charge them for it. There's just no way around it. Run it back in. Again, it's the same thing. You just press and hold the button inside the door. I'll show you a close-up of those buttons here in a minute. And as you can see, it can take up to 30 seconds to come in or out. The LED light strips, the switch up there, it's kind of takes the place of a porch light. It gives you a good amount of light out here at night, and it's an off color. It doesn't attract mosquitoes as much as a conventional light does. You'll notice our windows are tinted and frameless. They're very difficult to see in when it is lighter outside than it is inside. So during the day, it's bright outside. You can't see through the windows very well. At night, as it gets dark and your lights are on the inside, people looking in the windows that couldn't see you an hour ago, once it gets dark, can see you really, really well. So keep in mind for privacy. You come back, oh, the windows are tinted, nobody can see me. Yeah, not yet. You might want to think about that as it gets dark if you're going to run around in more comfortable clothing or lack thereof. Okay, last thing on this side I didn't mention, there is a outlet here. This is two regular household 120 volt outlets. This is so if you're at your picnic table and you've got a boom box or an outside TV or you want to charge your laptop, whatever it is you want power for outside, maybe you've got an outside electric grill or griddle, you can plug into here. And this is powered from whatever you have the motorhome plugged into. If you're plugged into the park or you have your generator running, it's powered off the same thing. Please keep in mind that this is part of your power allowance if you have the air conditioner running. If you're using something like an electric griddle, you're going to overload that. You're going to overload the circuit between the two of them. You have to turn the air off while you're using your electric griddle. I hope you're someplace warm enough where you get to have that problem. We're certainly not here today. Okay, so I'm going to run the slide out. We'll show you from the outside what that slide looks like as it comes out. We always want to make sure there's nothing that the slide can hit as it goes out on the outside. And inside, off both ends of the slide, we want to make sure nothing has slid in between the slide fascia and the wall. So as the slide goes out, it's not trapping and damaging anything. Fairly uncommon, but I have had a couple of customers come back. They've tried to store their ladder, or they've tried to store the broom between the slide fascia and the wall with the slide room in. And as the slide goes out, it gets crunched in the middle. So if you have questions about that, please ask us on walkthrough and we'll show you exactly what we mean. Also, additionally, we typically have an awning mat that we supply that is just an outside indoor-outdoor kind of carpet that dries real good with a rubber mat. You can run that alongside your motorhome if you like. It's usually under the awning. It helps keep things from getting tracked in the motorhome. Okay? To put the slide up, on Four Winds motorhomes, the engine cannot be running. So the engine has to be off, the parking brake has to be set, you need to be reasonably level. There needs to be nothing in the way. If you've checked all of those boxes, when I hit the extend button, the slide will come out. If you've rented Winnebago motorhomes from us, it's the other way around where the engine has to be running. These are opposite, so it'll be a source of confusion for us, I'm sure. Make sure with the Four Winds that you do not have the engine running. You need to have your house batteries on, but the engine has to be turned off. Okay? All right, let's put the slide up. Okay, just inside the entry door here, we got several sets of switches. This is my inside lights, so if I come in at night, I just hit the first switch and I'm not fumbling around in the dark. The next one should be my awning light or porch light that's outside that you saw earlier. Okay. This guy here is for the awning. That's my in and out on the awning. You saw us run out earlier. That's a momentary switch. Please double check every time before you leave to make sure the awning is all the way in so it does not come back damaged. And this last switch, step light. This guy right here is your battery disconnect switch. Generally, you're going to want to leave this on for your entire trip. The only exception would be, I guess, if you want to make sure your appliances are off when you're fueling or you're on a Washington State or Canadian ferry, you can turn that to off. None of the appliances will work. Your refrigerator will not be on while that is off, no matter what, because it requires those to be on. So you don't want to leave it off longer than necessary. Okay, let's come inside the motorhome and check it out. Okay, we're inside this very spacious, beautiful 2019 Four Winds. This motorhome, as you can see, has got a lot of room and it's very well appointed. We've got a TV here, it looks to be about 40 inches. We've got a dinette that will also fold into a bed if needed. We've got a sofa that will fold into a bed if needed simply by doing that. Of course, there's an oversized queen bed in the front that is queen width and 8 feet long, so you put your tallest people up there. To put the dinette into a bed is quite simple. I take and pull this lower cushion out of the way. It's really cold in here and everything's brand new, so it's stiff. Under the table, there's a little lever right here that I simply flip around that way, and then the table will drop into place. I really like those. I think those are slick. Much easier than lifting a table up on poles and wrestling around. And now it's a bed. Okay? This bed is pretty comfortable for someone up to about 5'10". It can be a couple of people as long as they get along real well and they're not as wide as I am. You'll notice there is a little buckle here. This is a car seat tether. It's the only one in the RV. So in addition to the seat belt that's here, if it has a rear tether, that would duck down behind here and latch onto that tether. Okay? There are 2 seat belts here. There are 2 seat belts here. There are 2 more up front. So for those of you who didn't follow that, this motorhome has 6 seat belts. Yes, it can very comfortably handle 7 or 8 people at night, but it has 6 seat belts. We recommend that you only take this model with 6. If you show up with 7 or 8, we're going to let you do it, but we're going to advise you that it's not as safe. In Washington State, except for the front seats, everything back here is legal to not be buckled in. I will tell you from experience, if you're not buckled in, you're standing up, getting a soda, going to the bathroom, the driver hits the brakes, you will be on the dash really quick, and it's not a very cushioned dash. So just be in communication with your passengers. If you're going to let somebody go to the refrigerator or go to the restroom, make sure they're ready to hang on and have an open line of communication. Okay? You'll notice the air conditioner up here. It's controlled by a thermostat in the back. We'll show you that in a minute. Your little lights here just are LED lights. They turn on and off individually. All the lights in here are LED, so it does not take near as much power or drain on the batteries as the old ones used to. We have Corian style counters, 2 stainless steel sink, a 2-burner gas range, and a 1-burner electric induction range. So you don't have to have propane going in here if you don't want to, and you want to boil water or something, you can do that with the induction. In addition to that, we have a large 30-inch convection microwave. This is the same microwave that you'd see if you were looking at a $250,000 diesel pusher. They've done a really nice job appointing this motorhome. If you're not familiar with convection microwaves, I'm the wrong guy to explain it to you. Look it up on YouTube. They'll give you a whole nother video just on convection microwaves. But you can bake, you can use it like a microwave, you can use it like an oven, you can do whatever you want just with this one appliance. Okay, let's move on back here since we're coming back and come back to the control center. The control center, or kind of the brain station of the motorhome, is all right here. Okay, this is going to tell you what's going on with your tanks. They're labeled, but the first one says LPG. That's for liquid propane. And we'll show you a picture of this in a minute. It's showing full, which, all right, maybe it is full. The next one is battery level. My battery level is full. Now, my battery level will always read full if I'm plugged into a power supply, like either the generator's running or I'm plugged into a park. It will also read full if my engine is running, because my engine is charging those batteries at 15 volts or so. And the battery meter is strictly a volt gauge. So let's say that you wake up in the morning and your batteries are low and you want to charge them up. Well, if you start the generator and 15 minutes later you hit the battery button and it says it's full, oh, I'm done. I'm going to turn my generator off, right? Yeah, not so fast. Your batteries are still really low. They're deep cycle batteries. They take 3 to 4 hours to charge from being very low. If they're low enough, you should charge them. You want to charge them for a minimum of 2 hours. Okay? Freshwater tank. My freshwater tank is empty. Black tank is empty, and the gray tank is also reading empty. Very commonly after you dump to get a false reading on the black or the gray tank. If you've dumped and everything came out and you're sure it's empty, you can actually look down the toilet, hold the toilet on flush and look down and see the bottom of the tank. You know you're empty. That just means that there's some paper or other matter that's on the gauges. You've actually got prongs that come through the tank. Don't worry about it. Okay? Even if you just dumped it and you're bringing it back, we're going to check the gauges. But if the gauge reads that it's not empty, we're going to look down the toilet. We'll be able to tell that you dumped. Get it empty, it won't be a problem. Okay? The slide button is right here for extend and retract. Extend takes it out. Retract brings it in. Again, be very certain that there's nothing in this area, nothing in front of the slide, and nothing around the front edge of the slide room when it's coming in or out that can get caught or bound. Something as simple as a pencil or any kind of debris on the floor when the slide room comes in can cause it to get caught in the roller and can cause floor damage. So please be certain there's nothing on the floor, there's nothing in the way, there's no suitcases, there's no anything else, and nothing more than 50 pounds on the sofa. So if you've got a young child that wants to come in, he's under 50 pounds, not a problem. You got a bigger kid or adult, they got to get up. Okay. Next two buttons here you'll see say tank heaters. That would be if we were using it in the winter and we were worried about the tanks freezing. This does have tank heaters. They only work on 120 volt AC power, so you've got to be plugged in or have the generator running. We generally do not rent our motorhomes to places that are going to be freezing because we don't allow you to chain up. Chains usually result in damage to the motorhome, and we just don't do that. We try to keep our motorhomes looking nice for their first forever owner. The last switch here is water pump. And again, I turn it on, the red light comes on, my pump's on. You can actually hear it vaguely. It's kind of there. It's a pretty soft noise. That's going to pump the pressure up in your water system, the pressure, and then shut off. As you use water, it'll come back on. You may hear it come on and off as people are using water. You will only use that if you don't have the hose hooked up outside. If you have the hose hooked up outside, you're using water from the hose. This is only to pressurize water from your fresh water tank. Okay. Underneath that, we have the climate control system. So if I'm cold, I can turn it to heat, turn up the thermostat. The fan's going to come on. It's going to blow cold air for 25 or 30 seconds. Then it's going to ignite, and it's going to blow warm air until I reach the setting that I've got it set at, just like it would at home. It'll shut off, cycle on and off again, just like your furnace would at home. If it's hot, and I hope it's hot for you, and you want to use the air conditioner, it's the same thing in reverse. I move this switch to cool. I then set my thermostat for the temperature I want. The air conditioner will come on and blow cold. We will show you on walkthrough. There's two different settings for the air conditioner that's on the roof. I can open the vents on the air conditioner and dump all the air right into the living area, or I can close the vents on the air conditioner fascia piece, and it will blow air through all of the ceiling ducts front and back. So during the day, if there's nobody in the bedroom, I want all my air up front. At night, I'm going to close it and cool off the bedroom and the front of the motorhome before we go to bed. Okay. Now this RV has another really neat feature. It has a remote control. And with the remote control, it'll allow me to change a couple of things. Well, first it asks for a pin. The pin is default 0000, so 4 zeros. We'll show you that on the walkthrough. I can bring my slide in and out with the remote, so if I'm worried about how much clearance I have outside the motorhome, I can actually take the remote, walk around outside the motorhome, hit the button for slide 1, and tell it to come in or out. And the slide button will come. It'll bring the slide in or out just from the remote. Okay? I'm going to run it back out here. So that's pretty cool. I can start my generator. So if I'm outside and I want to start my generator, I can start my generator remotely just by pressing and holding that button. And the generator will try to fire up. Okay? My awning. You saw the awning? Maybe I'm worried about the awning hitting a tree. On this one, yeah, it's kind of hard to see the back of the awning from being inside where you hit the switch. You can take the remote and be outside at your picnic table or whatever, and some people like to do this just to show off. They can sit there with their beverage of choice, run their awning out, and run their slide out, and watch the guy next door in a tent trailer that's over there with a crank going, "Argh!" Getting really frustrated, right? So that's kind of fun. It's just kind of a neat little trick that they do. And lastly, underneath here we've got the jack control panel. And for the jacks to be operating, the engine has to be on, so we're not going to show you those right now. We will talk specifically about the jacks when you come to pick up. That's one of the things that we want to go over. Again, if you've got the coaches with jacks have very low clearance, and you need to be reasonably level before you put them out, or you can damage the jacks. Okay, but we'll talk about that when you come in to pick up. This is the only model I ordered in with the hydraulic jacks. Everything else will have stabilizers. They will not level the coach, and they're only in the rear. It's a whole different thing. These are actually electronic hydraulic leveling systems, so we'll cover that when you come in. Coming back here to the bedroom, well, or maybe not. Maybe I don't want you in my bedroom. If I don't, I can bring this guy over here, and now I've got privacy in the back end. We have another 30-inch or 32-inch TV in the bedroom. We have a radio, and this is the one that I can put the sound outside. This also does Bluetooth. The dash radio does Bluetooth. I paired it with my phone in about 3 seconds when I was taking off with this coach. It was really nice. So we can turn it on, and we got music. And if you want to put the sound outside, we got A and B. So A is inside and B is outside. So now I've turned the sound off inside, but I can hear it playing outside at my picnic table. Just kind of a neat thing to show off with. It's also got a headphone jack. Okay, so we'll shut that guy back off. I don't think it does video. I'm going to tell you it doesn't do video for now. If you want to play video, at the DVD player, which we'll find in a minute, there is a HDMI cable. The HDMI cable will feed the DVD player, which feeds the TV, so you can play off your laptop or your iPad or whatever you want to stream video off of. All right, this is just the bedroom light switch. These have simple pull shades. They're pretty easy. If you pull too hard, something happens, you damage a shade, don't freak out. Cover the window with a towel. We'll fix it when you come back. Okay. Emergency exit. You're not going to need it. But if you absolutely had to, this screen will pop off just by pulling these two tabs. That window will go out, and you have the option of dropping about 6 feet onto the ground. Pretty bad day if you need it, but I'm supposed to show you, so I did. There isn't storage under the bed from the inside. You saw the huge storage on the outside. So under the bed from the inside isn't accessed. But you've got big closet. You've got drawers. You've got closets at both ends of the bed. Lots of cupboards, lots of storage. More storage in this than anything else that we rent. All right. Let's talk about the rest of the appliances real quick. We talked about the oven and the microwave. The refrigerator is probably the last one here. So this refrigerator, if I press this button once, it'll come on to auto, which is what we want. It should be on auto when you pick up, and we recommend you leave it on auto for your entire trip. There's no reason to turn it off unless you're getting on a ferry or you want to turn it off when you're getting engine fuel. So getting fuel, just hit that one button, it's off. Remember to turn it back on as soon as you're done. When you have a 120 volt power source either being plugged in or from the generator, it will run off of that. When you don't, it will automatically switch to propane. It'll run on propane while you're going down the road and while you're dry camping or when you don't have those power sources. When you plug in, it'll switch back. It'll just do that all by itself. Leave it on auto, let it do its thing. One thing I have to mention, especially because of the size of this unit and most people are going to have multiple individuals with them, we recommend that you take a cooler for beverages and use this only for food. And if you see somebody that's what we call fridge surfing, they're going to open the door and look in the fridge every time they walk by it or because they're bored, tell them unless they want their food to go bad, they need to stay out. These doors need to stay closed, especially in the heat of the day, as much as possible. If they're getting opened regularly, your food will not get or stay cold. You're going to lose food. There's nothing wrong with the fridge. They just work a lot slower than what you have at home. So especially when it's really, really hot, you're camping and it's 100 degrees, only open the doors for as little as you have to at mealtime to get what you need in and out, and the rest of the time leave them closed. If you fill it full of warm food, it's going to take 24 hours to really get down to temperature. It just takes some time. In the summer, if you do it, if you obey that rule, right, you can actually put 3 or 4 water bottles in the freezer at night, and by lunchtime the next day, they should be frozen. You can use them for ice in your cooler. But we recommend you take an additional cooler. If you're flying in from out of town, our kitchen kit does include a cooler. We'll supply one. If not, and you don't have one, want us to supply one, we'll try. And if I can, I will. If they're already booked out, I can't. So you can always get coolers from Walmart, usually $20-30, not a big deal. All right. Okay, bathroom. Let's talk about bathroom stuff. Everybody's favorite subject. When you open an RV toilet, unlike your toilet at home, there is no water in the bowl. Most of us understand that the reason that your toilet at home has water in the bowl is to eliminate any odors from human waste being in the toilet. So let's do it backwards now. If we're just going to use the toilet for number one, we don't have to add water. If we're going to do more than that, we need to press before we sit down. And I press on that foot lever just a little bit, about this much. And I don't have water coming in right now because it's freezing here at night. We've actually got some snow on the ground in places. There's no water in the motorhome. It's winterized. But if I press down just a little, I'll get water coming into the toilet without it flushing into the tank. Okay? Doing that, I can raise the water level in the toilet, and you need to raise it enough to cover up whatever deposit I think I'm going to leave. If you don't do that, or you don't do it sufficiently, the entire motorhome is going to smell like an outhouse, and they're going to vote you off the RV island really, really quick. The fastest way to become unpopular. Okay? So we recommend, when possible, of course, you use the facilities in the different campgrounds when you need to take care of that business. If not, it's an emergency. Okay, do what you got to do, but have enough water in there to eliminate as much odor as possible. We supply all of your sanitation supplies for your trip. We try to give you enough for what you're going to do. So when you come to pick up the motorhome, under the sink, and it's not in here because this one hasn't been out yet, there'll be 6 rolls of toilet paper and a package of RV chemical that is drop-ins. That kind of looks like what you'd use in your washing machine, like a Tide Pod kind of a deal, or dishwasher if you've seen them. You just drop one of those down the chute. You only need to do that for temperatures when they're above 70 degrees. Below 70 degrees, you won't have an odor problem anyway. The more water in your black tank or you're down the toilet, and the less paper and solids, the happier everybody is when it's time to dump, because it's much easier to dump that way. If you follow some basic rules, just get plenty of water down there and don't leave your black tank valve open. It's really a breeze. It won't be a problem. Okay? Hot and cold running water at your sink. The shower door absolutely has to be latched while you're going down the road. Okay? The latch is right here. If you forget, as you take off or go around a corner, this door will slam shut. It's going to come off its track. It might break. It's not something we can fix over the phone, and the only reason that's going to happen is if it's abused or you forgot to latch it. So that is something that we will expect you to be responsible for. That will be on your checklist. There'll be a checklist of things for you to check before you go off driving. That'll be on the driver's visor. That's one of the things to check, is to make sure the shower door is latched. This is a really tall shower. A lot of times we're worried, people are worried about it being tall enough. With my boots on, I'm just short of 6 foot. I'm about 5'11" with these boots on. And as you can see, I got another 8 or 9 inches that I could actually stand in here, okay? So you'd have to be 6'6" to not be able to stand up straight with your head in the skylight. On the shower itself, you'll see this little guy here. That is so I can conserve water and not have to adjust my water temperature when I turn my water on and off. And the reason you want to turn your water on and off is if you are not in a park with a hose hooked up to the motorhome and a sewer hose in the ground, we're worried about how much water we're using out of the tank and how much water we're putting in the gray tank. Your gray tank in this one is going to be good for about 6 showers at 6 minutes each. Okay? That's about 9 gallons. It's 1.5 gallons a minute, so a 6-minute shower is about 9 gallons. 6 of those, you're at 45 gallons. That's about what you're going to get. Okay? More than that, and you're kind of running risk of running out of water or filling up your gray tank. Now, obviously, if your sewer hose is hooked up and your hose is hooked up, take all the showers you want. Your hot water heater is an on-demand hot water heater. It runs on propane. So you're using propane to heat the hot water, but not a big deal. If you're dry camping or you don't have full hookup, you really need to watch how much water you're using. So typically, the way that we ask people to do it or teach people to do it is just like you're on a boat. You get the water temperature set, you get yourself wet, shut the water off, shampoo, rinse, turn it off again, shave anything else that you're going to do, turn it back on, finish, and get out, save some water for the rest of the campers. Okay? This is our hot water heater controller. To turn it on, I just hit the red button. It'll come up. If the water isn't hot enough, I can turn it up. If it's too hot, I can turn it down. It's an on-demand system. Doesn't really hurt anything to leave it on. Recommend that you have it off while you're traveling, but you don't have to. That's really all there is to it. It's disconnected right now because there's no water in the coach, and we don't want to damage the hot water heater. When you pick it up, it will be hooked up. We will show you that it is working. Okay? That's all for the hot water heater. We need to cover a few safety items. So, up front under the table, this is our breaker and 12-volt fuses for the house. You shouldn't need to get in there. Very rarely is there a reason to get in there. Right here is our propane safety detector. So, this is the one that we're concerned about the most. If you come in, or you're in here and that thing starts chirping, it just goes chirp, 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 means your house batteries are low. Okay? If you're plugged in, somebody probably kicked your cord, became unplugged, your batteries got low. Maybe you knew you're not plugged in. It's time to start the generator, let it run for a couple hours. Minimum. You got a battery problem. If it starts screaming at you, sounds like an air raid siren, like a really bad smoke detector, the only thing you check is make sure that the gas is off on your 2-burner stove. If those appear to be off, and this is screaming, everybody gets out of the motorhome immediately, just like a fire drill. Get out. Hopefully, someone can turn off the propane, and we showed you where the propane was outside here on the passenger side. Leave the door open. Get at least, I'd say get 100 feet away from the motorhome. There's a big risk of explosion. Okay? If that guy's going off, you've got propane gas in here. If it ignites, there's going to be pieces of motorhome in every direction for a long ways. I've never had that happen to one of my rentals. I don't want you to be the first. So please take that very seriously. I don't care if you're driving. I don't care if you're parked. Your propane detector goes off. It is an emergency. Okay? Other safety item up here on the ceiling is a smoke detector. We all know what that is. It means somebody burnt toast or something. There's no smoking of any flavor in my motorhome, so it better not be because somebody's got a pipe or a lighter or something going in here. And by the door there is a loaded fire extinguisher. If you need it, use it, and we're hoping you don't. Okay? Talk about the TV antenna really quick. For all intensive purposes, pretend you don't have one. Unless you're in a major metropolitan area, you're not going to get enough signal for it to do you any good anyway. Any place I camp, TV antennas don't work. take DVD player, or take DVDs, use the DVD player, have something on your, have movies downloaded on your iPod or your iPad that you want to watch, or your laptop, something like that. Pretty easy to get to the back of this TV. It's got USB outlets, and we have an HDMI cord right here from the DVD player that you can jack into. Additionally, this unit does have a 300 watt power inverter that is capable of powering the TV while you're going down the road without having your generator running. That would also be capable of powering a CPAP machine. I can't tell you how many hours it will run your CPAP machine because they have varied draws. You have 2 deep cycle batteries. I would expect that to be able to run the TV overnight. As long as your CPAP machine doesn't take more power than the TV, you ought to be fine. I guess if it quits working, I'm not sure what happens. You probably wake up struggling for air. So we probably want to examine that and see what your voltage needs are. Obviously, if you're plugged into 110 in an RV park, that's the ideal circumstance. But we do have a small inverter that's capable of running the TV and the DVD player off of your batteries even while you're traveling. Okay. Right now, this is not turned into a bed. This is easier to get in and out for the drivers and passenger up front when this is out of the way. When I want to turn it into a bed, I just bring it this way a little bit to where I can push down and flip it over. This bed is queen width, and it is over 8 feet long. So I've had people take and put 3 or 4 kids in head first this way. Less likely for them to roll off. That's a question that we get from time to time. But 2 6'6" adults are very capable of sleeping lengthwise in this bed. Okay. It does come with a ladder. The ladder just comes out here and snaps in there. We do ask that you don't have any shoes up here. I ask that you don't have any, you tell your kids no food and drink up here, please, because if it gets spilled, it's an expensive cleaning bill to take all this apart, clean it, and put it back in. And of course we have to charge you for that, and sometimes we don't have time to get it cleaned for the next renter. So please, no food and drink up top, and no shoes. Keep it looking new for the next people. Okay, that's all there is to it. These Velcro straps are so I can attach the ladder up here and not have it bouncing around while we're going down the road. That's all there is to it. Okay, I'm in the driver's compartment of a motorhome. For any of our 4Winds, this is the dash for everything except the Mercedes versions. They're all Fords. The Ford ignition key is a long skinny key that looks like this. I can start it up. This stereo pairs to your Bluetooth phone really easy. Once the engine's running, if you have the Bluetooth turned on your phone, you should be able to push this button and then go to your phone under Bluetooth. It's going to give you a stereo you've never heard before, letters and numbers, something you've never seen of. Under available, click that. It will pair. Once it pairs, you can play whatever music you have on your phone. You can play Pandora. If you're using your phone for navigation, it's nice to be able to hear the navigation voice over the speakers. Yeah, that's coming off my phone right now, real easy. Alright, so if you have a phone holder or something you want to take that will fasten onto the RV without leaving a mark, you're welcome to. The ones that attach up here are probably my favorite, so you've got nav right there and you're hearing it through the sound system as recommended. You've got 2 charging ports right here for 12-volt charging ports, so you can charge your phone, your iPad, whatever it is that you want to take with you. You also have a USB charging port right there, and you have an HDMI port here that will play to the stereo. However, it won't play audio, it won't play video to the stereo while you're in motion. Okay. Additionally, right here I can pull this open. I've got a USB charge cord adapter slot, so if I want to hook a device up without Bluetooth, not have any radio interference, I can use a USB charger cord there. and just a standard auxiliary speaker cord here will come in. This is not a navigation unit. You're going to have to use navigation from your phone, but you can pair it and hear the sound through that. Okay. Your generator, we talked about earlier. We didn't talk about how it is fueled. It is fueled off the primary fuel tank. Right now I'm below a quarter tank of fuel. My generator won't run, or at least it won't run very long, because the generator is tapped in at a quarter tank to make sure that it doesn't run you out of fuel if you've gone off and left the generator running. On a hot day, if you don't want to cook your passengers, you're going to want to keep more than a quarter tank of fuel in the motorhome at all the time. It's a 55-gallon tank. I want to stop more often than that anyway. I mean, to use 40 gallons of fuel is a lot of fuel. It's a lot of driving. Even in this one, that's a lot of driving. So when you get down, around a third of a tank, be looking for the next gas station. Cruise control is on the dash. Wiper and high beam is right here. There's wiper. To windshield washers, I push it in like that. Over here by my right knee is a switch that says emergency start. If I go to start the motorhome and the batteries have gotten low for some reason, I've been using the stereo, I've left the parking lights on, something, I can press and hold this button in. It's a momentary switch, meaning I have to hold it while I start the coach. The engine battery will jump off of the house batteries, 2 separate systems, and start the motorhome for me. So essentially you can jump the RV without getting out of the driver's seat. That's really nice. We do have a map light here. Headlights are just 3-position switch, off, parking, headlights are on. All right here on this side of the dash. Let's talk about this tow haul button here, especially on my bigger ones. So my 28s and my 31s, if you're doing a steep grade like a mountain pass, when you feel the motor starting to shift down and work harder to pull you up over the mountain pass, press this button. I'll get a yellow light that comes on the dash under the tachometer that says tow haul. That's telling me that it has eliminated overdrive almost entirely, and it's put the transmission in more of a work mode so that it's not always trying to shift between gears. It's better fuel economy that way. It's easier for the coach. More importantly, as I come down the other side in tow haul mode, the transmission will hold its gear and not make you want to ride the brake as much. Okay, we're in a motorhome that weighs somewhere between 11 and 12,000 pounds. Plus all of the stuff you put in it. Going down a steep mountain pass, when I'm on the brakes all the time, in the summer when it's 100 degrees, guess what? Your brakes are going to get hot, and that can cause a problem. Since we're talking about that real quick, and primarily only in my bigger ones, double especially if you're really loaded up, or maybe you've paid extra for a towing allowance if we let you tow something. We do that for things that are lighter. Ask us if it's a concern. Don't show up just expecting to be able to tow. It does not work like that. It's got to be approved in advance. But going down the hill, I want to have my tow haul mode on so that my transmission is doing part of the work and I'm not cooking my brakes. If I'm going down the hill and I feel the steering wheel start doing this, or I have to push harder on the brake than I did a minute ago, those are signs of brake fade. If I hit the brakes and it's pulling to the right, that's a real big sign of brake fade. You don't have much brakes left. Your brakes have gotten too hot. They're not going to work correctly. Find a safe place with a lot of long runway off the side and get off the road. Stop. Let your brakes cool for 15 minutes. Very unlikely for it to happen unless you're doing something very steep, you're fully loaded, and it's very hot. But I want to cover that with you, so if you start getting any of those symptoms, assume you're about to have a bigger problem. Okay? Questions, any of that, please see us in person. Emergency brake is the old style, foot operated down here under the dash by my left knee, and the release is up underneath the dash by my left knee. Okay, we're kind of at the end of our video. I've given you a real quick run through of most of the things you need to know. You'll probably have some questions. We'll be happy to cover those when you're picking up the RV. We really want you to enjoy your vacation and have a good trip, so we've tried to show you everything that you really need to know. Please, by all means, try to enjoy your trip. This is a lot of fun. I love to camp. Ryan loves to camp. Most everybody here loves to camp. That's part of the reason we do what we do. This is the best way to go do it, and this is a beautiful motorhome. So, happy camping. We'll see you soon.